that I had an epiphany of how I could make the second elephant appear in succession. So I did the first appearance in front of a live audience, and people went totally bonkers. It was probably the biggest aha moment of my entire career, and they freaked out. And then I repeated the illusion immediately and produced the second elephant.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from somewhere in New Zealand, it's the YouTube show with Dave Benson.
All right, calm down, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for pressing that button. Thank you for joining us. And yes, I am not wearing a waistcoat today. Someone got crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, legends, creatives, and people who just clicked this by accident while trying to Google Benson and Hedges. Welcome to the Dave Benson Show. Thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who hit that big red subscribe button, you're the real MVPs. And if you haven't yet, listen, I'm not saying your coffee will taste better or your Wi-Fi signal will strengthen, but I'm also not saying it won't. So why not smash that subscribe button and drop a comment? Unless it's about my hair, in which case, send it privately. Now, I'm not sure if everyone is fully on board with the comments yet. So, as we didn't get any YouTube comments this week, which was a big disappointment and I was really hoping for them, I've had to invent my own. Let's see what you definitely didn't say. Dave, you blink too much. Are you sending Morse code? Yes. And it says, help, I'm trapped in an algorithm. Send snacks. This show has more awkward pauses than my last family dinner. Well, that's true, but unlike your family dinner, I'm not legally required to invite Aunt Sharon. Is this filmed in your garage? No. This show is filmed in a studio that looks like a garage. It's called Budget-Friendly Atmosphere. On a serious note, a huge thank you. We have just surpassed 2,000 followers on LinkedIn. That's right, a platform known for suits, spreadsheets and humble brags is now being infiltrated by me, a man whose latest upload includes a joke about drag brunches on a cruise. This really means the world. Every share, every comment, every connection. This show is growing, and that's because of you. The new goal? 5,000 followers. Let's get weird professionally. Now, let's jump into the wonderful world of YouTube where chaos is a feature, not a bug. This week, the news. YouTube dropped a sitcom about golf. Yes, Shanked is a 20-minute golf-themed comedy that somehow manages to make golf chaotic. There are more golf carts crashing than balls flying. Think The Office, but if Dwight wore tartan pants and screamed, "4!" at a salad bar. Tom Scott came back. After a burnout break, everyone's favourite educational YouTuber returned with a heartfelt video. He said he needed time, balance and perspective. Honestly, same Tom. I just call it Tuesday. Welcome back, mate, you beautifully nerdy man. Bill Wirtz is now producing pop songs. That's right, the king of quirky animation, known for his history of Japan, is now back behind a track called I'm a Kid. And look, if you'd have ever told me Bill Wirtz would go from, in 1942 Columbus sailed the ocean blue, to writing bubblegum bops, I'd have said, yeah, sounds about right. Now, this one's right on my own doorstep, and I love it. Viva La Dirt League is leveling up hard. The Kiwi Kings of sketch comedy built their own studio, and now they're producing full-blown sitcoms like Tech Town. New Zealand has given us Taika Waititi, Lord of the Rings, and now tech support comedy in HD. It's beautiful. The next one, a guy faked a poisoning story so well people called 911. Yep, Daniel Henschnell posted a true crime TikTok hoax with fake mugshots, fake plot, the whole thing. People believed it, cops were called, society was broken again. Well done, Daniel. Over to podcast land where things are equally strange and spectacular. Missing in the Amazon, True Crime Meets Rainforest Mystery came out this week, where a British reporter heads deep into the jungle to solve a disappearance. Honestly, this guy was so British he bought marmalade in the Amazon. And then he probably apologised to the mosquitoes whilst being bitten. I love this one. Logan Paul says he might run for president, but then said, actually, Mr. Beast would probably be better. Imagine a debate where a guy talks policies and the other guy says, now here's $50,000 and a llama. Vote for me. Honestly, Mr. Beast 2028 with Logan as VP of Unboxing. TV news. Anchors are now starting podcasts because nothing says I'm done with the studio like recording headlines in your pajamas. Give it 2 months and CNN will rebrand as cable. Nah. We've got 2 incredible guests for you today, and I can't wait for you to meet them. It's all about magic and mystery. Let's roll the titles. Today's guest is nothing short of magical, literally. She's one of the most accomplished female illusionists in the world with a career spanning over 3 decades. She's dazzled audiences with breathtaking illusions, including making not 1, but 2 live elephants appear on stage. Her award-winning shows combine artistry, inspiration, and empowerment, and she's also the creator of the nationally recognized program Your Vote is Magic, which brings civic awareness to young audiences through the power of illusion. Whether she's on the stage or giving back to the community, she proves that magic truly can make a difference. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Lyn Dillies.
Hello.
Hello, Lyn, it's such a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, the same here. Thank you so much. This is terrific.
I've got a 10-year-old daughter who loves magic, and she was so jealous that I was interviewing you today and she couldn't be here.
Oh, that's too bad, but hopefully she can look me up on, the different videos and on my website.
You began your journey in the illusion world at a young age, didn't you?
I did, 12 years old.
What was it that drew you into it at such a young age?
Well, it really is pretty crazy when I think back, because I was an extremely shy child. I'd hide behind my parents when introduced to somebody. And all of a sudden, there was this television show called The Magician, starring the late Bill Bixby, the actor who portrayed the part of a magician using his magic to fight crime. And he had this private jet and, very handsome guy. And it was just so intriguing to me. I had my dad bring me to a local magic shop and bought me a couple of small tricks in the trade. We call them pocket tricks because it could literally fit in my pocket. And I brought them home and practiced them, and I was very, very diligent about practicing because my grandfather was a concert violinist. He taught me how to play the violin and really taught me about a hard practice ethic, that if you want to be good at something, obviously, you've got to practice. So I remembered that, and these tricks were perfect, and I brought them to school. I was performing these tricks on the school bus, in the lunchroom, classroom, etc. And it was so empowering and transforming, and my shyness started to disappear. And I knew that I had something really special, a gift that that I was destined to do, and it's all I've ever done my whole life.
Wow. So that's an awesome story. So as soon as you started to get good at it, did it start to build from there? So, that was your first pocket trick, and then you'd move on to different tricks and illusions. And at what point did it become, well, this is going to be a job for me. This is my career and what I want to do forever.
Yeah, well, to gain experience, I made most of my own tricks back then. Of course, took out every single book in the local library, made all the tricks, and I tell the story in my show. It's crazy. I put all these little tricks in a cardboard box, and I'd walk around my neighborhood with this box. I'd ring my neighbor's doorbell and ask if they wanted to see a show in their living room. And I would set up on a little table, do my act, and pack up and move on to the next neighbor's house. So even some of my neighbors now remember me back then. It's hilarious. But that was the beginning, and then I just went on from there. I did birthday parties and just kept gaining experience and had my sights set on bigger illusions. As a matter of fact, I saved all my money to purchase this first professional trick in my show, and it was like $75 back then, US money. And I was so nervous to spend this money that when I went to the magic shop with my mom, I passed out cold right in the magic shop's floor. Because that's what it meant to me, to make this big purchase. And then I just, evolved from there, honing my craft and learning something from every single show. Did shows for small groups and, It could be a nursing home or a scout group, and then everything just escalated from there. The vehicles grew larger as I acquired a bigger repertoire, and bigger props, and it went from a station wagon to a van to a small truck, and now I have almost an 18-wheeler that I love to drive.
Jeepers.
Yeah. So it's an amazing experience, to think back to where it began and how it's evolved and what it's turned into.
Do you still have any of the first tricks that you did when you first started out? Do you still use them at all?
I use variations of them, and then I came out with a teaching video for young kids, and I incorporated some of those tricks into it.
Let's talk about the elephants. Where did that come from?
Yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room. What happened was there was a local zoo, and it had been closed for renovations for a number of years. And when it was going to reopen in the summer of back in 2000, believe it or not, I knew that the zoo had a couple of elephants. So I proposed the idea of making a huge splash for the grand opening and making one of the elephants magically appear out of thin air in front of a live audience. And they were totally over the moon about that concept. So I created the illusion, started rehearsing with the elephant, and that's a whole story in itself. But I felt badly that the elephant's best friend, her roommate, was being left out of the illusion. I was only working with one elephant at the time. And it was halfway through this whole journey that I had an epiphany of how I could make the second elephant appear in succession. So I did the first appearance in front of a live audience, and people went totally bonkers. It was probably the biggest aha moment of my entire career, and they freaked out. And then I repeated the illusion immediately and produced the second elephant. And people still talk about that illusion to this day.
Wow. And is that how you come up with the ideas? You just take inspiration from what's happening around you and think, well, what could I make out of that? What could I do to either bring the community together or make a spectacle or a splash out of this?
Right, exactly. Well, of course, you have to come up with a concept and then the method of how to do the illusion, and then all the other elements that go into it. The training of the animals, the presentation. A big part of that was desensitizing the elephants so that by the time we did the illusion, it would literally be a walk in the park. We replicated the illusion in their barn where they live, and had it on a motorized hoist and everything. And every single day, the trainers would lower this thing for them to get them used to the perimeter of the illusion and their boundaries and so forth, so that they would, be really comfortable with it. And they would actually look forward to it, and their ears would be flapping and their trunk would go up, and they were making all kinds of fun noises. They loved it. And then, of course, you've got to figure out how are you going to get people to the location without them knowing what was going to unfold. We wanted to keep it a surprise, which wasn't easy, but we managed to do it. And to think back to, maybe 100 feet away from about 500 people, seeing two elephants appear right in front of their eyes, it was really unheard of, especially in my industry, to do something so risky, to do it live. It wasn't a taped audience. It wasn't, taped. No, it was the real deal. So it was pretty exciting. And then I adapted that illusion in subsequent years to other types of productions. And then I did my Your Vote is Magic illusion to kick off my campaign back in 2008. And I produced an elephant and a donkey, the two live political U.S. mascots. That was really exciting to make sure that they got along in a confined space, and they really did.
Man, I mean, that must change things up from carrying a suitcase around with you with all the props and stuff in it to carrying an elephant around with you and needing the space to be able to get those in and out.
Pretty much, yes. They do reside at the zoo, though. They don't go on the road with me. And now I'm currently working with one of the elephants. We lost her friend, Ruth, a couple months ago. And that was extremely sad and traumatic for everybody close to her. And she was 66 years old. So Emily still lives there, and she's 60 years old. And I proposed the idea to the zoo that let's do something fun with Emily and incorporate her into a show and make it look like she's doing the magic. So I'm right in the middle of rehearsals now with her. It's going to be really fun.
That's so cool. And I love, we touched on your vote is magic. Now, that's something you did to get people interested in voting in America, I believe?
Yes, yes, primarily high school students who would be of voting age, coming up. And it was to inspire them and empower them, to make them realize that they have a very, very important voice and to use their voice responsibly and wisely. And then teach them what has gone into us having the right to vote and to not take our voting rights for granted. And, it does a deep dive into the women's suffrage movement and, the Selma to Montgomery March, all these historic events that have taken place in our country. And I even have cameos during the presentation of veterans who have fought for our everyday freedom and what it means to them to make sure that we preserve our right to vote. So it's very comprehensive. It's a powerful program, and the students are riveted because I incorporate my magic into it, and it ties in beautifully with the curriculum.
That's awesome. And is that a continual thing you're going to continue to do as each time it comes up for voting comes through to keep inspiring the new generations?
Yes, well, I mean, it can be a bit cyclical, according to the presidential elections, but civics is civics, and the kids need to learn no matter when that it's an important element in their life, and the local elections are just as important as the federal ones to participate in. So I do try to do it year round, when school is in session.
Oh, good on you. And you've also got Magic at the Symphony as well, where you combine classical music with illusions. What's that one all about? Is that something that was inspired from your grandfather's music?
I think he played a role in that with my classical music background. Listening to him so much, he did teach me how to play the violin. And the popular classics are incorporated into my program. So I basically have, it could be up to an 85, 90-piece symphony orchestra playing the classical music behind my illusions, and everything is perfectly choreographed to all the crescendos of the music. It is so exciting. It's really a wonderful event for all ages, and the great thing about it is to nurture new audiences for symphonies, to let the kids know, hey, this is a really cool thing to attend the symphony and enjoy it.
That's so cool. I'm very jealous. I would love to attend that. I'd love to take the entire family along to that. So are you coming to New Zealand anytime soon?
Not anytime soon, unfortunately, but I can't wait to do the program again. It's been a while. It was right before COVID. That was the last one that we had done.
So what advice would you give to young aspiring magicians? And also, I'm interested, how can we get more females into the magic world?
It is truly not easy, but I mean, I'm hoping that I'm at least making a dent to pave the way for young girls to realize that nothing's impossible. Believe in the magic of yourself, work really hard. Don't ever give up on your dream, whether it's to become a professional illusionist, magician, or an astronaut. I mean, anything is possible, but you have to work really hard. There are no shortcuts, and your dream is your dream only, and it's ultimately your responsibility to make it come true. And then as far as aspiring magicians, I always try to let them know that you have to try all the different genres of magic and just find your best fit, and then just incorporate parts of your own personality into your show. It can take years to develop, but just don't give up, just try different things and then learn from every single experience. And of course, the most important thing is to practice. That is incredibly important. Some of these kids, they want that instant gratification. They want to just do a trick and then run off and show somebody. And it doesn't work that way. You've got to put the time into it.
Wise words. I fully agree. So what projects, what's coming up for you, Lyn? What can we expect to see in the future?
Well, I have, of course, my really neat adventure working with Emily the elephant. That's really cool. And I think I'm going to start a campaign all about the magic of kindness that we all have the ability to spread kindness, and kindness really is magic, and it can mean so much to people. The smallest gestures can really go a long way. So that's something I have up my sleeve, to get back in the groove with my symphony shows and keep it all going. And giving back to the community is super important to me, using my gift of magic to bring joy to people. We all need so much magic in our lives these days.
Lyn, you are such a positive, kind, impactful person. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. For any information on Lyn and what's upcoming for her, all the details of her socials and websites can be found right down here below. We're going to be back right after these messages.
Hi, my name's Aaron Ryan, and I am a sci-fi writer from Seattle, Washington. I wanted to introduce you to the Dissonance Quadrilogy. It's a set of 4 books that are set in the years 2026 and 2042. In 2026, an alien invasion happened. A very dystopian, post-apocalyptic environment ensued from that alien invasion. They drifted out of the sky one day. We didn't know what they were. We didn't know what they wanted. They just hovered there for 3 months. On September 3rd, 2026, they went live. They activated, and they hunted down all of mankind, killing off 85% of humanity within 3 months. As such, we're forced to live in the shadows and eke out an existence. We fight back by running. We call them Gorgons because, like the mythical Medusa the Gorgon, you cannot lock eyes with them. If you do, and they with you, they have a telepathic paralytic to freeze you where you stand and consume you at their leisure. Really bad day. So your best defense truly is to run. The series starts with the prequel, which is Dissonance Volume 0 Revelation, set in 2026, before and immediately following the invasion, and leading up to the counterstrike that happens in the year 2042, set in the trilogy of books Dissonance Volume 1 Reality, Dissonance Volume 2 Reckoning, and Dissonance Volume 3 Renegade. A climactic, powerful set of battles where we eventually, spoiler, kick the enemies to the curb. We are humans. We have to win. Good news, happy ending. Check him out today at dissonancetheseries.com. I am inordinately proud of this entire quadrilogy. Right now, Dissonance Volume 1 Reality is being adapted to the screen for Netflix, Paramount Plus, Apple TV Plus, Prime Video. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I hope you'll check it out at dissonancetheseries.com. You can also visit authoraaronryan.com/blog and sign up on the blog to be kept informed of future releases or anything else that's coming down the pike related to Dissonance. Thank you so much for checking it out. I've never written anything as good as this. It is the best thing I've ever written, and I'm so grateful for how it turned out. I hope you enjoy the Dissonance Quadrilogy. Take care.
This next guest is a powerhouse of creativity, an award-winning writer, director, producer, filmmaking, and the driving force behind LolitaMoon Productions. Born in the Dominican Republic, raised across cultures, and based in Seattle, she's a true global storyteller whose work blends art house elegance with raw emotional depth. She's shadowed legends like Stanley Kramer, trained with experimental theatre pioneer Rachel Rosenthal, and carved out a voice that is unmistakably her own. And she's not just a filmmaker. She's a poet, a photographer, an entrepreneur, and a champion for sustainable animal rights. Please welcome to the show the multi-talented and magnificent Ileana Vasquez.
Thank you.
Welcome. How are you?
I like that introduction.
Do you not get an introduction like that everywhere you go?
No, this is the first one. It made my ego felt very good.
You deserve it. You've earned it. It was a huge list of things up there.
Yeah, but sometimes you forget, like, because you're not really focused on, checking off the list of everything you've done.
Well, let's kick in. Now, you started originally in pre-med, and now you're, so to speak, in pre-production. So at what point did you realize that scalpels aren't for me and maybe it's scripts in my world?
Well, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a ballerina.
Yeah.
So, and that dancing came naturally, but my dad, he didn't agree with that course direction. So then, I think science and nature and just I'm really curious, interests me, and And then that's why I think I started with a pre in college. I went to an all girls school, so I did college prep course, and then I focused on biology, and so then I went into pre-med. But after the first year, I realized after working in an endocrinology lab, I realized I didn't want to experiment on animals. So it was just um, sort of like a void. I believe in like energy and the because we're not only like matter or physical matter, we're also spiritual.
Yep.
So that's a intuition and energy is really important to me, and I think that's how I make a lot of my choices. So there was that voice that said, "No, this is not right."
What's my energy looking like right now, Ileana? How am I going?
Oh, you're good. You're good. I like your background.
We're in New York City. Are you in Seattle right now?
I am, yes.
So it's got to be late afternoon in Seattle. What does Ileana do in the afternoons on a Thursday in Seattle? What's your general Thursday afternoon?
Well, usually I focus on writing
Yeah.
and then answering some emails, or I'll go for a walk or go exercise, go for a run.
Beautiful. Sounds like a great Thursday afternoon to me.
Yeah. I sort of structure my time fairly well, so I can get a lot of things done.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us the story behind LolitaMoon Productions? Was
Oh.
that named during a midnight burst of inspiration?
So I'm a Pisces,
Right.
and my I guess in tarot my card is the moon,
Yeah.
and I didn't know at the time, but my middle name is Dolores, which is
Ah.
Lolita for short, like
Yeah.
Lolita. So I combined the two, and it was actually that. Like I was one night, it just the light bulb went on,
It's
and
a
I'm like,
very
oh,
cool
two names,
name.
I'll connect these.
And as a director, do you lean more towards quiet whisper of motivation, or are you a megaphone style person to get people to get it?
I think I go with the quiet whisperer.
Oh
I
yeah.
really like well, I prepare a lot. Like it's really important for me to prepare.
Hmm.
And then I like to work with people that are also as prepared as I am when they come on set.
Yeah.
And I don't like yelling. I mean, yelling until like somebody just, pushes your button to a certain degree. But even then, it's like I really like to let the actors free generally
Hmm.
and go with like being the moment and within the structure, but being the moment
Yeah.
and continue and see what happens in that moment. And I do like the Clint Eastwood method of three takes and that's it, let's go.
Wow. How often does that work for you?
Um, well, I've done a few shorts mostly. This is my first feature that I'm going to start working on.
Hmm.
And that's the method I did used actually doing the shorts, and everyone liked it. And I think the first take is when you capture everything because the actors are really focused in the moment and ready.
Yes.
And you can always work your camera and the angles and to get what you want, even if they're not giving it to you at the moment.
And
And
did I hear as well that you're self-taught?
I'm self-taught, yes.
That's so impressive. So, how on earth did you think, oh, well, maybe I'll just teach myself rather than learning from anywhere else? And what gave you the access to be able to do that?
Well, I majored in fine arts and I went to UCLA,
Hmm.
and then the film school was right next door to the art department, well, the art school.
Hmm.
Um, and that was always very curious. I was always very curious what the goings on inside that school. And I did a little video, like experimental video for a course that I was taking in my one of my art classes. And I love movies and I loved acting because I did act in a play in high school.
Yeah.
So I think after college, I took a year off, but I did experimental theater. And then I was actually invited to the graduate school at UCLA for the arts, but I didn't want to go in that direction. I actually was just film was calling me for some reason.
Wow.
And I went to Europe. I lived in Paris for a few years and I studied acting. And then that's when I realized that I prefer to be more of behind the scenes. And I taught myself how to write and script writing. And then I was a photographer, so I already knew a lot about cameras and camera angles and all those elements. But then I think I listened to a lot of different directors and how they arrived. A lot of them went to school or film school, like Jean Cocteau, the French experimental, like surrealist,
Yes.
and he taught himself. So
Wow.
then I found I love Kubrick and I listened to a lot of his conversations. And I noticed that you can actually watching movies and reading the books that are used in the film schools, you can teach yourself. And that's what I did.
Jeepers. I mean, that's a lot to be able to direct
You're
a
already
full
exhausted.
set. Yeah, man, jeepers. I know, I can't even imagine. So, you're thinking to yourself, right, that actor needs to get from there to there. They need to have this conversation, and then this needs to happen as well. But we're going to need lights there because of the shadow suddenly on that person, or that way, like the amount of things that must be going through your head. And also now you're saying 3 takes and that's it. So you're like, wow, this has got to be like perfectly created, perfectly set up, perfectly done for the actors to come in and do, and then say, yep, got it, it's in the can. Let's go.
Yep. It's pretty
Wow.
much that. So it's a lot of prep.
Jeepers. And
Yeah.
you shadowed legends like Stanley Kramer, Betty Thomas. What's the one lesson that they taught you that you still carry with you today?
Well, I know Stanley Kramer, the one thing that he actually that really sticks with me, he said all the glamour and fanfare and lights and all that, ignore it. Focus on the work.
Wow, seems like it's good advice. And if out of all of these legends that you've mentioned and you've watched and you've admired yourself, was going to direct your life story, who would it be? Who would you pick?
I think I would pick Vera Sh Vera Shislainova.
Oh,
She's
okay.
a Czech surrealist direct like a new wave
Hmm.
director, and she did this movie called Daisies. It was sort of a mockery of society, but it's really amazing and interesting. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I have not. No, I shall
Oh,
add it to the list.
it's a beautiful film. It's one of the big classics.
What is your favorite movie from both an acting and directing position? Because you must watch things differently to other people in terms of if I watch a movie, I can get engrossed. There's the action or whatever's going on set, the emotion or wherever it must be. But when you're watching, does it change for you? Do you look at it and go, "Oh, well, they got that wrong," or they
I
should
do.
have.
Actually, well, I look at the acting, I look at the cinematography.
Hmm.
I'm really I'm really for me it's really important to have really good continuity.
Hmm.
And I when I watch movies, I pick that up all the time, like all these errors. And also like acting and how actors interact, how the lighting comes in, the camera angles and how they move in. Like I can tell what kind of shots they're using, like they're doing like the setup of the shot. And
Yeah.
if it's a pull in or a push in or zoom in or a wide shot or long shot, now I can tell when I watch a movie. And then I pay attention to the story as well because that's what's the importance of cinema is. And I can now tell like when it's really not like a break in the story, or something's not the actors aren't like really doing justice to the story, I can pick that up as well.
That's really cool. And that's a different perspective to watch a movie. Yeah, I just can't imagine how but it's your field, so it's understandable that you'll be judging as you go through. You can't help it. That's just what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it judging. I would,
No,
because
sorry,
I
wrong
do
word.
get engrossed in the sorry. I do get engrossed in the like in the story, but as you follow it along and what they're saying, sometimes it's so predictable that okay, this is going to go in this direction, and it actually does go in that direction. So it's disappointing
Yeah.
sometimes. But I really like it to surprise. I really like to surprise the audience and keep them sort of quote unquote at the edge of their seats, and not so they don't know exactly what's coming up next.
How much time do you spend in the editing suite at the end of it all, post-production? Do you still go in there to be able to pull it together and make it what you envisioned, or do you trust others, or how does that work?
I like to work with the editor as they edit.
Mm-hmm.
So we usually have a discussion, and for example, for the shorts that I worked on, we have a discussion of the where I want to go. They look at the footage and see what's there, and then we come together again, and then we sit together and pick the right clips. Then put it together. They do a version, then I see it again, and if it doesn't hit the spots, like the mark where I want to go, they go
Mm-hmm.
back and re-edit. Um, and then for this feature, I'm working with a very well like experienced editor. She worked on like Disney's Beauty and the Beast and Dreamgirls.
Oh, wow.
So I've been working with her even from the script stage. So she reads the script and tells me what's not working and what shots should be included.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back and do some like revisions on the script, or that goes for the shot list as well. So before we shoot, I'll review that. I'll be reviewing that with the DOP and the editor so that we have all the shots we need
Wow.
before we start filming. So
I'm learning so much I never knew. This is fantastic. So let's
thank
say
you.
you've edited it, you've got it all together. So you've been through and you've said, right, that scene, that scene, that scene, that scene, that scene. And
Right.
it's all filmed out of sequence. So you've got to pull that together at the end and put it back into sequence and
Yes.
make sense. And then once you get that, is it heartbreaking when you look at it and you're like, that's 20 minutes too long. Like we've got to cull it back to whatever the time may be, which means that you've got to work out how to tell the same story, but with less.
Um, well, usually I try to stick to the script, and
Right.
then when I do the shot list, I add extra shots. So that we have those extra coverage, so that when we get to the editing room, the editor has more to play with than what's on the script.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a sort of the reverse process. So there's always possibility. So it's better to work with possibility instead of working with a strict this is the beginning, this is the end, and there's no, well, that's where the imagination comes in. I think when you film, you
Yeah.
take the script and then you expand it and see other things happening when you put the shots together.
So what's coming up next for you? What are you working on now, and what can we expect to see in the future?
Right now I'm in pre-production with an action thriller,
Ooh.
and we have some names attached, like Graham McTavish, Peter Menza, who was in Gladiator,
Yeah.
and Lotta Verbeek. She was in The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, cool.
And I have really good cinema. Well, he's pretty good, really good cinematographer. His name is Felix Kramer. He's German.
Yeah.
Um, that's one that it's almost ready to go. We're now waiting to cast our female leads.
Wow.
And then I'm also developing a spy thriller, supernatural thriller, fantasy, a fantasy adventure, and then a faith-based sort of a thriller adventure.
That's so cool. Well, I am definitely going to look forward to when they come out and we can watch them.
Thank you.
Please share the details, send the links. For any information about Ileana and her projects, you can be found right here below. Ileana, you are amazing. Your work is amazing. And
Thank you so much.
So happy I got to spend time with you today. Thank you very much. We're going to be back right after these messages. On LinkedIn. That's right, folks. A platform known for suits, spreadsheets, and humble brags is now being infiltrated by, well, me. A man whose latest joke includes...
tells me where to go. I said I wanna see the Dave Benson show, and I can't stop and never